Hello again and welcome back to a new video. Today we've got this Vauxhall Astra 1.6 diesel on the ramp. Quite a big job on this one. It needs a new timing chain. Oh, my torch is about to die. Get the batteries changed on that one. Anyway, huge job. Injectors out, rocker cover out. Gearbox needs to come off. The complete subframe, front suspension needs to come down. So I thought I'd bring you along, do a little video. Hopefully you enjoy it. Let's get on with it. Now then, the way I like to do these, first of all, is tackling the underside. You need to drop that subframe down. But before we do that, we need to get to the bottom of that steering column and disconnect it where it joins to the steering rack. So then we've got the car on the ramp now, up in the air, where it'll be for quite some time. Under trays off first. Let's take them off quickly. Okay then, under trays off. We've now got a much better view of everything. To get this subframe lowered down, we've got a few things we have to take off. Lower arms need to be disconnected from the hubs. Anti-roll bar drop link, one on both sides, they need to be disconnected too. There's a bracket on the back which supports the exhaust. Need to undo them 213s. Stabiliser bar needs to come off. Lower arm on the near side. And the anti-roll bar on the near side. And we'll also support this radiator and intercooler setup, because that is also supported by the subframe. So let's get to it then. So there we have the trap end taken off, driver side front, same with the anti-roll bar drop link and the lower arm as well. Let's go and do the same thing on the near side front. We're now not too far from taking the subframe off, but before we do that, we need to support this radiator and intercooler setup. We also need to disconnect these cables here that run to the steering rack. So we've got everything taken off now. The wiring harness for the steering rack's removed. Suspension components have all been taken off. It is worth having one last check, make sure we haven't missed anything. There's nothing worse than being caught with your pants down. If you have a clip or something like that, when that frame is coming down, it can be really awkward and it can cause damage. So we're going to get 2 gearbox jacks, support this subframe, and we're going to proceed to remove these retaining bolts for the subframe, and we'll get it lowered down. So then the time's come to lower it down. All the retaining bolts have been taken out. Got 2 gearbox jacks securing the subframe in place. Going to lower them down bit by bit, and that should bring the subframe down nicely. Just keeping our eye on everything, making sure there's nothing still attached. Like I said, it's good to take your time when you're taking these down. So there we have the frame coming down. Steering rack and anti-roll bar still attached, etc. Let's get it safely down on the floor and we'll continue on with the job. So that's the subframe taken out. Next thing I'm going to do is remove these drive shafts. Before I do that, I'll have to drain the gear oil so we don't get gear oil everywhere. I'm also going to drain out the engine oil. So we're taking out the driver's side drive shaft completely. The one on the passenger side, we've just pulled out the gearbox and I've attached that securely to the near side of the chassis there, so it's out of the way. And I need to take it out completely. Gear oil's drained, that engine oil's just finishing off draining now. I think whilst we're underneath, I may take a couple of these bell housing bolts just to give us a bit of a head start when it comes to removing the gearbox off the engine. Shortly after that, we'll be lowering the car back down and tackling the EGR valve, which is attached to the side of the engine, taking the rocker cover off and the injectors. Like I said, lots and lots of labour on this job, but we will get it done and fixed. So then we're now back on the top side. It's time to start taking things apart up here. Fuel injectors need to come out, fuel rail pipes obviously, EGR, throttle body, lots of electrical connectors, many hours of labour. So let's get started. I think I'm going to start by removing some coolant hoses, and I may consider moving this engine control module out of the way as well. Well, I did decide to remove the engine control module, and look how much more room I have for it, which is great. Just put the electrical connector to one side. There's the ECU. Now time to get through the maze of nuts, bolts and electrical connectors, which clears up the area so we can get to this top timing cover. So we are making some progress here. Obviously, throttle body been taken off this section of pipe work, which needs a bit of a clean up. On the rear for the EGR valve, there's a couple of bolts that are hidden over there and some at the back, and we have now made it loose. Just got to take this coolant pipe off just here, and I think that'll be it. It's ready to come out. Success! We've got the EGR and the cooler off. I'll put that down there for now. Hello? Are you open? Hello. Big stretch. Anyway, with that taken off, we've now got decent access to this top cover, which we'll have to get removed. Before we do that, rocker cover's coming off. First thing we're going to do is take off the leak-off pipes very gently, trying our best not to break anything. Then the fuel lines to the injectors will be disconnected and put back in a safe place in order so we don't mix them up. Then all the bolts around the perimeter and all these various brackets and electrical connectors. There's plenty on this thing to take apart, that's for sure. But we are making some good progress now. So the leak-off pipe came off okay. We're now onto the injectors. Number 4 has been undone. I'm going to put that to one side. I'm going to mark them up so we make sure we put them back in the right order. I'm hopeful they'll all come out nice and easy. So we've now got the rocker cover taken off. And if you look at the chain, we put my finger down here, extremely slack. Good job of changing it. We're now going to take off these pipes, these vacuum hose pipes. We're going to take them out. They don't come out all the way, you just kind of push them away, just so. Then we'll take the bolts off for this upper timing case off. So we've taken all the bolts off the casing and removed it. We've now got even more access to that timing chain. We've done as much as we can do now with the engine. It's now time to take the gearbox out. Just about to attack these upper bell housing bolts. I've taken the gear selector cables off and the hydraulic clutch pipe, which I've just crimped off at the end there. Once we've got the bell housing bolts taken out, we'll then attack the mounting bolts, but we'll have to support the engine underneath before we do that. But we're not that far away from getting in full access to the timing chain at this point. So we now have everything taken care of on the top end that we need to. We're now going to remove the gearbox, which will expose the clutch and flywheel. We are going to replace the clutch on it whilst we're in there. And it'll also expose this lower timing cover. which we'll be able to undo, and then we'll have full access to the timing chain. We've now got the gearbox removed. It's time now to remove the perimeter bolts, get this casing off so we can see all the timing chain. So you join us now, it's the next day. We've got the casing off the lower side and we've got full access to the timing chain. Look at that. That guide at the bottom there, you can see it's been sliced and it's completely broken away, causing an alarming amount of slack. The guide up there is damaged as well. So it's now time to time the engine up. We're going to lock it up at the top, we're going to lock it on the crankshaft, we're going to remove this timing chain. This oil pump chain is not being replaced at the moment because it is tight and it's all in good condition. The customer specifically said they only wanted the top end doing. Once we've rebuilt the car back up, we are going to put the sump on the floor and check in there for any debris, because I'm sure we'll find bits of that guide there that's broken off. The issue with these is these tensioners. Now when I've taken it off, I'll show you a bit more in depth as to why these cause such a big issue for these chains. Timing chain and pulleys have been removed now. This guide is completely broken. It's actually sliced it. The chain sliced that bottom of the piece of the guide off. It's been catching one of these bolts. You can see half it's wound off. The upper guide, that just fell apart and I took it off, which is, I'm so surprised that's still on there. Tensioner on the surface doesn't look in too bad condition. The next job now is to go over everything and make this look spotless. So there we have the engine all cleaned up, ready for its new timing chain. Everything's locked in position. You can see the cam tool just at the top there that's keeping the cams in check. And I'll bring you around to this opposite side. You can see on the camera that's where the crankshaft tool is located on these. Quite simple really. So I will film another clip once I've got it all installed. So just before I put the timing chain back on, I want to show you a fundamental failure with these engines. It's all to do with this, the tensioner. This tensioner bolts on here. It's got an oil gallery, so when that engine is started up, it forces oil pressure through here, into the back of this chamber here, into the tensioner, which forces a plunger out, which puts tension on the timing chain guide. Now when the car's turned off, this all drains out, the engine oil out the back, all drains out of here. So every time the car's restarted, it has to wait until oil pressure's built up to apply a decent amount of pressure on that guide. Now, with the new tensioner, it is uprated, and it's got a little bit of a modification. On the back, you can see this gasket. This helps the tensioner retain oil in the chamber, in the tensioner, so that it takes less time for that plunger to come out, apply pressure to the guide, and it keeps that timing chain tensioned much better throughout the startup procedure. Because what will happen with the old style is that chain's slack on startup and it bashes and crashes against these guides and it just damages them really badly. So with the uprated chain kit, less of an issue, which is good. Certainly do a chain kit this one, because if you look at that guide there, how badly damaged that one is. It's completely missing, and it's torn that bolt up as well. But it is repairable, which is what we're doing now. We'll get that chain kit fitted and I'll come back to you. Fresh timing chain has now been installed, along with new pulleys. Got a coloured link on that mark there, coloured link on the mark just there, and there's one at the top as well, which just sits in between the two coloured links, the dot just up there. I'm now waiting on some gaskets for the timing cover. Once I've got them, I'll update you with some progress. So now the new seals have arrived. We've reinstalled the lower timing cover. Now I'm going to put the flywheel on and then the new clutch. So we cracked on, put the new clutch in, gearbox is reinstalled. Old clutch was quite heavily worn, quite close to the rivets. Probably would have lasted a few thousand miles more, but considering the effort it takes to get the gearbox out of one of these Astras, it was worth doing now. So now that we've got all this done, gearbox in, etc., we're going to send the car back down. We're going to put our efforts now on the upper timing cover. Going to get that cleaned and sealed up, bolted back together, rocker cover back on, etc., get the top end built up, and then we'll come back to the underside when we are ready to. So we've now lowered the car back down again, back at the top end. This is the top cover, which is completely caked in gasket sealer. So we're going to give it a real good clean up. Then we're going to put the bolts in top and to spec, which I've put in a little handy cardboard diagram so I know exactly where to go. So yeah, let's get that on. That's it now, looking all cleaned up. So we've now got this cover all reinstalled, all topped with spec. Giving the top end a nice clean up. Rocker cover is next to go back on, but we're just going to install a new gasket which got delivered from Vauxhall this morning to ensure we haven't got any leaks. Rocker cover is now back on. Time to put the fuel injectors back on and all the lube on top and this little bit of pipework here, and then I'm going to tackle the top of the gearbox, bell housing, bolts, gear linkage, etc. So I'm going to crack on and get that done now. We've got everything now plumbed in on the top end. EGR has been reattached, ECU has been put back on, all the bolts on top of the gearbox have been bolted up, all the bell housing bolts. You've got the gear linkage that's back in. There's only one or two things that need doing on the top end now, which is the reconnection for the power steering lines. The electronical feed lines feed up through here. But obviously the subframe's still on the floor, so we can't do that yet. Next thing we're going to do is raise the car back up and whiz that subframe back on. So it's time to put the subframe, back up there. Let's put it on the jacks and get it all lined up nicely. Get the car all built up. Getting towards the end stages now, finally. Subframe is now up, using the two jacks. Everything's bolted up and in place. Need to put these radiator mounts back on. Lower arms, anti-roll bar drop links need reattaching. Still plenty to go at, but we are approaching the finish line with this one. So that's all the subframe up and suspension components reattached. Even got the wheels back on. Last few things now. Got to feed up the wire from the power steering rack and reattach it up here. Going to bleed the clutch and no oil and filter, and then it's ready for the fire up. I'll come back to you when it's time to give it a start up. So that's it now. Everything's plumbed in, coolant's in there, fresh oil, clutch is bled. It's now time to start it up. Makes all that hard work all worth it. Sounds really good. Well then, she's now off the ramp after a huge effort, lots and lots of labour, lots of time and patience. She's running really well again. What a huge job these are. This is the kind of job I wouldn't advise a DIY technician to get involved with. I wouldn't want to do this kind of work without a ramp or the proper tools, etc. But this is the kind of work we do. Speaking of which, if you do have a car that needs any work, timing chains, clutches or service MOTs, we do the smaller stuff as well, don't get me wrong. Feel free to get in touch with us. You can find our contact details on Google at Bluebird Motorcar. We're also on Facebook, and if you are on the YouTube channel, please give us a subscribe. Really appreciate every view that we get and every little bit of input that we get into our videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you the next time. Bye bye.